party?
The title says it all, for Mike Finley. It's also for Rachel, his wife. When you went through the tunnel, I hope she was there to hold your hand. And no, she couldn't disembark with you. But if you remember anything, let it be the tears glistening inside her smile and the touch of her fingertips departing. When her eyes are closed, there's you. I wrote this a while back, but just the other day, Petey and I were talking about people we miss. I have an old friend, Bob Thompson. Anybody knows Bob Thompson? Tell him I'm looking for him. From high school. And I know he became an archaeologist. And I have another friend, Teresa, from high school. And we're talking about Bob and how to find him. And Petey says, well, Teresa's a potter. She probably knows lots of archaeologists.
It wasn't quite that way.
Well, yeah, they dig up pottery, So, of course. But anyway, it made me think of this poem, and I actually sent it to her. It's called The Next 1,000 Years. Get my glasses. She threw a bowl, which I'd first thrown in 1974, a bowl which, afforded a normal span of years, would have outlived our firstborn, whose own demise, we pray, will be way beyond our own. I saw a bowl under bulletproof glass at the museum downtown. It belonged to the Dowager Emperor Shu Si of the Qing dynasty. Her fingernails were so long that she had to be hand-fed by a eunuch whose life was worth less than the cobalt blue glaze around the edge, made in part from the scrotums of living silkworms. That's all well and good for the bowl, I guess. But the bowl in the kitchen shattered, unlike our marriage, which merely crumbled in the downpouring, bills, in-laws, shitty jobs. When I saw Sushi's deep dish, I'd been impressed. It had gotten through more than 4 generations of acrimonious reunions, the Boxer Rebellion, the Cultural Revolution, New Year's firecrackers. But is it any wonder that Chinese bowl survived? I mean, it wasn't thrown on a rented wheel on Selby Avenue. It wasn't used for Cheerios and milk. It was fired into stone and bowlhood by a whole village. You heard right, one big happy family. I don't remember what we fought over. I do remember that the crash woke our daughter and she cried, and I swept the shards, dropped them in the trash can, and tried to bury the feelings. I was already late for work. I understand that somewhere out east, Sichuan or Japan or Laos, potters are occasionally known as living treasures. This means that even though every single thing they make winds up broken or unused in some stuffy institute, a shard unearthed by archaeologists 10, 11 centuries after they've croaked is worth a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of money. I don't believe we even pulled down rent that month. Chances are poor is what we argued about. Could be our history will be recorded in a movie or a Broadway musical a millennium or so after we're dead. No doubt, a scientist with a space-age pick and shovel will be digging in at the municipal dump and come upon a piece of a bowl that I made and my wife remade into an art so high it could pay the bills for a cast of thousands and shed a little stage light on what might have been and used to be. Well, I guess I'll read this. This one I wrote for my youngest, who I talked on the phone with yesterday from the comfortable confines of HCMC. It's just, we send our love. She moved out to Seattle some years back. It's kind of about that. When the rain came, she was at the top where east meets west and go their separate ways. And she realized that being soaked half drowned at the high point of a continent is no place to live. Back when she had said goodbye, back when the prairie has no beginning, no end, and dreams, bright as butterfly kings, are always on the move. When she waved, silently wept, and loaded her friend's truck. When she was young, one last time, and needed not much more. Sorry. Then sunshine and rain, and all she got were drought and flood and pestilence. And all her prayers came back no longer at this address. When she was standing alone at the Continental Divide and had to bet it all on the flip of a $50, seemed to take forever in that thin air. And when it landed at her itching feet, she let it lay, 6 pence for the next bum on the road, and did what it said.
No.
Thank you for writing that. That wasn't easy.
My old man used the belt, and it was the one. I had a moment, a really beautiful moment. I'm gonna break up, but I was just hanging out with my two younger kids, and we had to change clothes. So I, casually, I whipped my belt off, and they didn't panic, and it hit me. I'm doing something right. This one is just, I wrote it in Coney Island. Victim number 4, 60th Precinct, Brooklyn. I got to get where the pages come apart. Okay. When the blade caught half the moon, you saw, it's like a fish leaping with a hook in its jaws. When a fish decides to live, it eats, or it is eaten, without a second or a thought between the two. It's like throwing dice as you let go of all you've gathered in your net. And blood, like water, transmits the pulse before and after you see it coming, with that barb jabbed into your hungry maw and a taste of the sea. And your sight won't comprehend the moon, won't show her face to you. Place hard to get, but you ain't got time, or so you think. Her long, slow tug strands your body on the beach, bleeding out its tails to no one but the ears of seagulls. They never sing, these goddamn birds. They only squawk about their next meal, namely you. And the man who stole your wallet, your earnings and ID, dropped the knife beside his footsteps in the sand. And in another 1,000 years, the moon, this very moon, will shine upon the arc, the razor edge, the grains in an hourglass when you leapt with that prize in your grip, and the line snapped and you splashed back home into the stars, which I am reading as we speak. It's titled One for Skelly and Don't Ask. Certain of my colleagues held with the theory that if you pedal your bike really fast, not merely miles per hour, but hectares per hour, or perhaps like the Flash on his way to the can after an extra large plate of mamacitas refritos, that if you streak on your bike like that, you'll stay dry in a storm. This was in fact proven by Willie Joe Bounds, who owned the first 10-speed in Navasota, or at least that's the claim he staked to fame. Of course, it's been debated ad infinitum whether Willie Joe remained dry because he was able to ninja-wise dodge the individual droplets, or if this was due to a force field generated by the spokes on his wheel spinning so fast they turned backwards.
Oh.
Anyway, it rained today while I was up repairing the dormer, so the roof got slippery. And I remembered that time you answered the doorbell fresh out of the shower, wearing an American flag towel, and you said, "Oh," then laughed. I thought you were someone else. No, it's just me from next door. Nice outfit. Could I borrow some salt? And I heard about what happened about a year ago and didn't know what to think. I mean, I hardly knew you, not well enough to miss you. Your hair dripping wet, stars and stripes across your breast, mistaking me for someone dashing and young. And I wondered today, choosing my steps across shingles and rain, should I fall? Will my body find the secrets of Willie Joe's 10-speed? Did they bury yours wrapped in a flag? When the heavens cut loose, when a stranger comes calling, do you simply shut the force field off? Most of you heard this the other night, but I don't know, you want to hear it again?
Yes.
Okay. Radio Free Cambodia. On first hearing, it sounds as if he's chewing rubber bands. I reached to spin the dial, pulling some red-blooded American rhythm, but the guy in the Continentals cut me off, so I let it play. Some weird-ass music, that's for sure. Up, down, start, stop. Like a big block V8 with weak compression on a cold morning. Like someone chopping wood, slapping garments on a rock, children laughing in a rice paddy. I checked the rearview mirror. Can't change yet. Hold course. Can't understand a word he's saying. Just a bunch of goop talk. The Lincoln slams his brakes in front of me. You're lucky I don't ram you bumper out your butthole, I yell. Though I'm certain he can't hear me. My hand goes to the dial again. I'm muttering, fuck this crap. Then slant-eyed little man says something that I get. He's weeping. She floats in the Mekong River, and he has swam to America. I hear tears of the monsoon rain. In his dreams alone, he is not alone. She is sweet smoke in the village shrine. She is untouched by bayonets. The Lincoln hooks a right, disappears. She is pregnant in his dreams, and he is frightened that Kampuchea will die in giving birth. The road opens before me. That his family has been cast by presidents and kings to fall where the chips may fall. Ahead, in the east, the harvest moon. In his sleep sometimes she screams, harder than napalm. In his sleep sometimes she slides her foreign tongue into his mouth and loves him like a country lost at the racetrack. And I shove the pedal to the floor. It's not a poem. I guess it's just, based on a true story. It's called The True Rockin' Gospel. When Jesus came to, he was on stage at the brand spanking new XL Energy Center at 7th and Kellogg in front of 35,722 screaming fans wearing nothing but a goddamn loincloth. Needless to say, he was a bit disoriented. Besides, that Last Supper with the boys, he'd had a fair amount to drink. To be honest, all he really wanted to do was down a few Alka-Seltzer and chill. Maybe catch a rerun of Groucho Marx's You Bet Your Life on the tube. So, to make a long story short, he pulled rank. The reports concerning that night vary. There's a cloud of smoke and dry ice theory, the cable suspended from the ceiling on a come-along theory, the stop-motion trick photography theory, and, of course, the beam straight up to heaven in a ray of sunlight theory. One hypothesis, expounded in a popular science fiction tome, asserted that he had simply stepped back in time and was no more. But here's what really happened. On Sunday morning, the janitor was sweeping up. Besides the usual roach clips, dried barf, and beer cans, he swept an easy truckload full of hefty bags worth of breadcrumbs, along with a small mountain of what appeared to be, fish scales. There had also been a bottle of cheap red wine spilled dead center on the stage. The janitor scrubbed at the stain, put in a lot more hours than he was getting paid for, even used his own wife's secret recipe, but it never did come up. It's like a memory in the middle of his workday week. that he just can't seem to shake.
Mm.
When Petey was, before she moved in, I think I wrote this, and I couldn't think of a title. And a roommate said, "Still there when the lights are on." So that's the title. There is a darkness which resides in dreams. It never sleeps, just lurks in the closet, under the bed, like an undercover agent, someone you thought you knew. That kid on the playground who says, "There's something that you gotta see." And when you follow him down the alley behind the schoolyard, through the mist that crept in like Bela Lugosi, and he dared you to open that door, the one you'd never noticed before. And this is where the memories are stored. Why is it that only when we hide ourselves in sleep do the children who we might have been come out to play? Could it be they are our misplaced twins who were tucked away when what they had to say made grown-ups fidget, groan, mutter white lies? Those drooling ninnies who, if could they speak, knew too much? If I had a flashlight which knew its way around the language of ghosts and other famished haints, I'd crawl beneath the covers with you and flick it on so that we could read of heroes and bad guys and you and I, who are no longer caught between them. I'm ashamed of how little Spanish I can speak. It's just, it's and our neighbors next door are Mexican, and we get along really well, but too many hand signals, I've been looking for this poem for a long time, and I haven't read it in a long time, but I found it. It's titled Legally Dissolved. Past the dagger's edge of married life, the papers do not seek the truth, nor speak it. Concrete demands and legalese for that which cannot be awarded. The devotion, tears, and tenderness of children. The remains of a home. And the warmth, the fire of battles fought for love. My country is divided up today. This armistice, this new law, this pestilence of compromise is the fabric of our clan, the pattern, weave, and cut of our flesh and blood. This is life without an empire I can serve. This is death without the rites of passage or the hero's farewell. But most of all, it is missing you and the wounds I take in plundering your cities and the moonlight requisitions abandoned in our wake. The fond, forgiving defects from a war. We are soldiers left behind the lines of abdication. We are prisoners now of peace. You and I, we are no longer sovereign.